What is happening, gangsters? Welcome to part 2 of our look development series. Today we're going to be taking a look at a football hype video, and we're going to be spending the bulk of our time at the timeline level developing the look, the recipe, if you will, for this piece, and then we're going to spend very little time, as you'll see, balancing other shots to work underneath that look. So I'm going to take you through each node, take you through the decision process that I'm going through, and this is how I would approach any professional job if we were cooking up a look from scratch rather than relying on a LUT or some sort of existing power grade. Let's jump into it and get started on this. Well, let's watch this spot down. We can see what we're working with. It's going to inform some decisions we make later. Now, this is a football piece, right? So that tells me a lot of grit, right? So we could probably go pretty goddamn aggressive with this look. In fact, we probably should, because that's more fun. Maybe we can just like blast this thing with a big curve and skew all the tones and really sit this thing down. I'm gonna be using one of my commercial node trees that I use all the time for spots like this, just because all the tools are just available and set up. But here's the deal. I'm not gonna be using any of the plugins that I would otherwise use. I'm just going to be using the tools that are in DaVinci Resolve natively so that you can follow along and get similar results if you wish. Let's get this into rec. I know this was shot RE wide gamma 3 and RE LC3 is our input gamma. Since the bulk of our work is going to be done at the timeline level, we're going to be doing the ODT out here. So let's just get 2 just to start here. This is going to be our ODT. And we're just going to keep it simple. DaVinci, wide gamut, DaVinci intermediate, rec 709, gamma 2, 4. All right, now we've got something to look at with some contrast and color. So we can see the initial photography is shot relatively neutral. I think all the mood from this piece is going to be coming from the lighting, but we can really have some fun with this one, I think. And because this is a hype video, I think we can just kind of go nuts. Let's get started out here. Probably gonna be adding some green. I'm just gonna add a node out there real quick. Green. This is our ODT. And then in here is gonna be our look dev. So let's just make 9 nodes here. And what we're gonna do is create a compound node. And we'll call this look. Open up our compound node. All right, now we can get started here. Let's do a luminance curve to start. So we'll name this loom. And down here, we can just pop out our loom curve so we can see what the hell it is we're doing. Let's go to a shot that looks like it's got baseline exposure. Yeah, okay. Something like here. Define our point there. And we're just going to be worrying about luminance here. Get our editable splines fired up. And I'm just going to rough this out, just so we have something to look at. Just roughing out a curve here. All right. Let's do a little contrast next. And we'll dial in a little bit of that. And you'll see here, we're just going to be making some pretty broad strokes to begin with. And what else? Let's see. We're going to be doing some curves to manipulate these colors a little bit. So this will be a curve. And I think we're probably going to be wanting to add some density. How are we going to do that in here, though? Yeah, color slice. That's already selected there. That will probably work. Since I'm not going to be using my plugins, we'll just use what's here native in Resolve. And then we'll do a saturation adjustment at the end here, and we'll just save these two for, I don't know, whatever comes up. All right, let's pop open our curve here again. All right, let's set our point roughly there. To start, we'll unlink these, grab the red channel, make sure our splines are still activated. They are. And we're just going to start pulling these around a little bit. Start developing a little bit of a look here. Add some density to that skin a little bit, or some manipulation of the skin tone. And let's do with this, let's pull it out of the shadow area. Kind of make that a little bit more blue. And we're just going to rough this in. Let's do the same thing with the green. All right, we're starting to get somewhere here. Take some of the green out of the shadows. And the blue channel, what are we going to do there? Yeah, maybe cool everything off just a little bit. Now, what we want to do as we go through here and start adjusting this is to go through other shots and see how, see how it's behaving. And we will most likely be making adjustments as we go here. So let's pop out of here for now. Let's go to the color slice tool. And let's start messing around here. Let's add some density to the red. There we go. And I think we're going to take some saturation out of the blue. And maybe what we can do, see the yellow? The yellow is an important color here. So let's go into the yellow slice. Gonna add some density, add some sat, and then we're gonna spin this warmer. There we go. Oop, too much. There we go. So now when we come back, yeah. So you can see these changes are pretty drastic. And we've got an absolute shit ton of saturation going on. So let's drop that here in the HDR. And maybe knock that down to like maybe 80. 80 to start, I guess. This is all the point of look diff. Like, a lot of time is spent in this part of the grade. And by doing the work here on the end and sitting the whole commercial into it, you'll arrive at a better result than if you were to even remotely try to do this on a shot-by-shot basis. On our sat node, we can pop open the loom versus sat, set a black point, and then drop this down. And what that's going to do is give us a little bit more of a pure, or a little like saturation roll off in the shadow. So you see how that kind of drops off a little bit more naturally now? Also kind of holds in the green a little bit, maintains that. Just going to keep checking our work here. Let's go to a shot like this. Let's go to the balance. Warm this shot up a little bit. Now to swing those yellows into that gold color that we're looking for. Yeah, there we go. And that's just from doing that balance. If I flick this on and off, you can see how green it was. So we're going to keep flicking through our shots here, see how they're behaving under the look that we're creating here. And we're just looking for where anything is breaking. I think a lot of these shots are just going to slide down into the pocket with individual adjustments. The exposure is a little bit uneven through the spot. But overall, the skin is looking cool. Let's check the gym stuff here. Yeah, I mean, it's dark, but that can be fixed. So I think we've got a pretty decent base look here. Let's exit compound node, and let's just grain the hell out of this thing and really add some texture. Film grain. Again, this is just right in Resolve. And let's take a look at what we got going on here. And I think like an archive is just going to look pretty insane in terms of like how coarse the grain. Yeah, look at that. Grain strength. I'm going to crank it just for this video 5, just so we have something to look at. Oh yeah, just filth. Look at that. Yeah. All right, cool. So our look is really starting to take shape here. Now what we want to do, go back through here and just set it up really quickly with an offset. Working the offset and the contrast at the same time. Here we go. We got these quick gym clips in here. Bring him up a little bit. Oh yeah, dude, that just looks so gnarly. Oh man, this is such fun. Look at that shit. Little green, little cool. Yeah. And this is the whole process. You know, you just go through here and just rip through these as fast as you can so that you don't have time to think and overanalyze. You know, like you know what you're going after. Use simple tools. Use the same tools across all the shots. Just get everything set. Maybe bring some of that gold in here. Yeah, that might be pretty cool. Yeah, this just looks nasty, man. I love it. Look at that. What a look. It looks so cool. It feels very appropriate for this kind of video. Hey, just wanted to jump in here real quick. I was checking out the analytics of this channel and I realized that only 30% of you that watch these videos are subscribed to this channel, which means that 70% of you are not. And I was wondering if we could just make a small gentleman's agreement, just a little handshake. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It would really mean a lot to me. It would help me grow. It also tells YouTube that these videos are valuable and that you're getting something out of them. It's not going to change anything in your feed or your algorithm too much. And if my content starts to suck, then just go and unsubscribe. Is that fair? Anyway, if you could hit subscribe, that would be dope, and I would appreciate it. And if you can't, I totally get it. I'm still going to make these videos and get them out as often as I can, and I hope to see you sticking around. In the meantime, let's get back to this. So normally this process takes quite a while, especially when you're working with, you know, the director or DP, because they've been staring at this thing for long enough that they have things that are probably bothering them. Some key parts of shots that they might want to address individually with windows and stuff, but it's important to set your base look first and then get in there and do all the detail work, because otherwise you're kind of painting yourself into a corner, because you might define a look on one shot and it looks great on that one shot. This look needs to hold up across 40 different shots in different lighting environments, as you can see, in different times a day. Look at this. Different times a day. You can't really define that on a shot-by-shot basis. You got to do it, you know, kind of at the end of the chain, so that everything kind of sits under it. That's like your recipe. Like you got all the shit in the pan, right? And like all those flavors are blending together and that kind of thing, and that's what you want. And this is going to lead to consistent color. Consistency is everything. I'm sure things have caught your eye that have been inconsistent. And it looks weird. It's jarring. It takes you out of it, you know? Nobody wants to see that shit. I would encourage you guys to use this same shit that I'm doing right now. Just do it in your own work. You will definitely have stronger, more cohesive results across your projects. It's a little desaturated for some reason. I'm just going to pump a little sat in there. Anyway, I don't need to do all of this, I don't think, for this video, but I just want to give you a sense of like what this process looks like. Oof. That's nasty. Oh, just look at it. Look how it just snaps into place there. It's so awesome. Look at that gold just burning. That's dope. And then I think what we can do is do something insane with the scatter. Maybe like a smoke. crank this. Bam. Oh, it looks so good. I like that a lot. Let's copy that across everything. All right, so now we've gone through here, and I think maybe in our look dev node tree here, or our compound node rather, let's pop open our hue versus sat curve here. So let's call this hue versus sat. I want to get an idea of these greens. Let me just pop that in real quick, sample these. So I definitely want to take some sat out of it. And we might be able to widen this out just a little bit. I don't want to lose the skin though. All right, going through here, checking that against all of our other shots, making sure the skin tone's not breaking. Does not seem to be doing so. Yeah, this looks dope. I think this is a really strong look. The vast majority of it was built at the timeline level in our compound node with a luminance curve, some contrast adjustment, just overall. Our curve here, which did our color manipulation, slice tool for additional color manipulation, and depth overall set, just to knock that down a little bit. Hue versus saturation, which took care of the grass, as you can see here, or the turf. And all of this was done just at the timeline level. That's look development. You know, this process is a lot about refinement and finesse and finding a look that works overall for your project, your commercial, your movie, whatever it is you're working on. This part of the process will make everything else downstream much, much easier. Once you've arrived on a look that your director or your DP is happy with, you can further refine from there. You can let them kind of react to it. How is it making them feel? Is it appropriate for the piece? Do we need to swing one color another way? Those are all small levers that you can pull after your general look is developed. And so this is kind of like the recipe, right? And then once you get further down the road in terms of like revisions and approvals, that's like your spices and that kind of thing, to use sort of a kind of lame kitchen analogy, but I think you know what I mean. So that's it for me on this one. This is look development without the use of a LUT, using the basic tools that are available even in the free version of DaVinci Resolve. So if you got something out of this, go ahead and give this video a like. It would really, really help a small but growing channel. I try to get this information out to you guys as frequently as possible. And I want to keep doing it. I want to keep growing. So every subscription and like helps, every comment helps. So give this a try in your own color grading practice. Let me know how it goes, and I'll catch you in the next one.